Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Uncle Matt's Workbench. Today I am looking at three vintage Star Wars FX7 figures, all in various states of disrepair. Now, often when you find these things loose and used, this arm right here is almost always either bent or broken off. It is intact on this one, this little claw right here. The other thing that goes wrong with these is these arms. You'll have one or two broken off, or in some cases they're all broken off. In this one here, we're missing half of this claw, and we're missing, let's see, 3 of the arms. Now on this one, all of these arms are intact, but he's missing this one. And something I didn't realize was missing, when I got this one, I thought this one was perfect. You know, the head is still stiff, it's loose on these other two. It has all 8 arms and the claw intact and not bent. And I thought this one's perfect, and I bought it for $1. But then when I saw this one, I was thinking, what is this thing stuck to the bottom of it? And it didn't take me long to realize that this one is actually missing this part. This is where the actual manufacturer's stamp is. And I do recall when I got this, there was some glue in here that I cleaned out and was wondering, what's with all this glue? Did somebody glue this to something? But no, actually this is missing from it, and I find that this is missing on this one as well. So, you know, none of these figures are complete. So in order, I think what I want to do is kind of take the best from each one of these I should be able to put together one that's complete. So this one has a nice stiff head, all 8 legs, and the arm intact and not bent. This one, the head is loose. This one, the head is loose. Both of these are missing the claw. This one has all of its legs, but it's missing the base. This one's missing some of the arms, and it has the base. So I think I don't need this one. What I would like to do is try to remove this from this figure and attach it to this one, and then I would have one very nice FX7. So I need to work out how to get this off. I would assume that it's easy to break off because the other two are missing it. Almost every one of these that I've ever found out in the wild are missing that, but just trying to pull this off has not worked out for me at all, and I'm afraid I'm going to break it. I just want to break the glue seam. So I need to work out a way to get that off of there. So I think one thing I'm going to try, and I don't know that this is going to work, but I use naphtha quite a bit for like removing stickers and stuff. I don't know if it's going to affect this glue. I have a feeling this glue is going to be too tough to be affected by this naphtha. But I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to try. I'm going to leave this in here. I'm going to soak this for a little while. Now the naphtha is not going to hurt the plastic at all. It's just not strong enough to do that, but I'm hoping that it will soften that glue if I leave it in here long enough to do that. So I'm going to leave that here for a little while and then come back and see if I can pull that off. So FX7 has been in this naphtha for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes now. I'm just going to take them out and wipe them off and see if I can just pull this base off of here now. I may have to go off camera just to get put some leverage on this. Okay, well, that didn't go really according to plan. Instead of the base breaking off, this top glued on piece has broken off, which I've actually never seen one of these apart like this before, so that's kind of interesting. But so now that wasn't intended to happen, but since it did happen, I actually may have a way of getting this off that I would not have had otherwise. So I think if I take this little arm assembly out, now that gives me access to the inside of the body, where I think if I put this in a vise and then maybe stick a dowel rod in here, I can tap it with the hammer from the top and get that to come off. And to make that a little easier, I'm just going to remove these. I mean, this one's trashed now. It's unfortunate. I didn't intend it to happen. The good thing for you, though, is there is one less FX7 in the world now, which means yours is even more rare than it was before, and it has now increased in value, probably by about 1 cent. So good for you guys. Bad for me. But I'm going to try that. I'm going to go off camera for this, and I will be back in a minute. Okay, so that really didn't work out either. So what has happened is trying to tap this bottom part out with a hammer. All I've done is broken the bottom out. That's very unfortunate. I really did not want for that to happen, but it did. You know, it's amazing that so many of these figures are missing this part when it is seemingly very difficult to remove it. I really don't understand how it can be missing from these when it is stuck on here so well. I'm going to try one more trick before giving this up, and I'm going to try using some boiling water to hopefully soften the glue. I'm concerned though that using the boiling water I may end up deforming this piece, because you know it will soften the plastic, and that's something that we do when we want to bend things back into shape, is we use the boiling water. I'm hoping that that'll soften this glue up enough to get this off and hopefully not deform it any further. Okay, so I've got a cup of water here I stuck in the microwave for about 2 minutes, get the water boiling, and in doing this you got to be very careful because this water's hot. You don't want to burn yourself, and I am just going to stick that in there and let it sit for maybe 30 seconds. Now I'm going to have to pull that out with some pliers when I'm ready, so I'm not sticking my fingers down into that boiling water. Hopefully you wouldn't do something like that either, because that would just be crazy. I just want to give that some time. Hopefully the heat will soften up that glue. And I know it's not sonically welded because, like I was saying on this figure here, when I got them, I could see that there was some glue residue in there, and I didn't know why it was there at the time, and I cleaned as much of that out as I could. So I know it's glued, and also on that base piece around the edge I can clearly see a glue seam. So the hot water should loosen up the glue. I hope that it does. That's still really hot. Let's see if I can just pull this off. Go off camera. And that is still stuck on there really good, so I am going right back into the hot water. I don't know what else I can do if this doesn't work, other than to just break it, or maybe try cutting it off, which I really don't want to do. I was hoping to get it all off of there completely intact, so that I could glue it onto my other figure seamlessly. It's what I was hoping for, because then this one would be, and really, this one would have been really nice. And I'm just now noticing a flaw in the mold in this one, so you know, it would not have been mint. There's no way that it ever would have been mint. I mean, for one, it's been played with. It's come out of the bubble. There's a little bit of paint rub on it here and there. Actually, the more I look at it, the less good it looks. You know, the funny thing about FX7 is, when I was a kid, I didn't have this figure. I didn't have it, and I didn't want it. I thought it was really stupid. If you would have given this to me as a gift, I probably would have been upset. Now I have two young daughters who, for whatever reason, this is their favorite of all of my figures. They love this figure, you know, and they just love the little gimmick where he has 8 arms that all come out like that, and they could just play with this thing for hours. They absolutely love it. As a kid, I hated it. Didn't have it, didn't want it. But can't have a complete collection without it, so I have them now. Let's try one more time. Stick this onto the end of a screwdriver, like so. Maybe then I can get the leverage I need to pop this off. Oh man, that guy really doesn't want to come off of there. Okay, back into the water. I'm going to go off camera now and give this a few more goes. Hopefully I'll return with that piece in my hands. Okay, now that really took some work to get off of there, and what I ended up doing was I ended up squeezing this piece in a vise until finally it popped off. So I've got a couple of problems to solve here, and that's where I've got all this old glue I want to remove before attaching to this one. And I also would like to get this piece that broke out with the manufacturing stamp glued back in here. And I'll do that just with a little dab of super glue, which is actually in this drawer that the camera is sitting in front of. Let's see here. I think my super glue is in the drawer. Some crazy glue. And this is the gel type. I like this for most things because it doesn't run all over the place. It pretty much stays where you put it. So I can see pretty clearly there's a, I'll just use his own hands to point. It's a little flattened spot right there that clearly shows where this broke. So if I just put a little bit of glue in there, just a dot here and there, I should be able to replace that part without any trouble. That's about as good as that's going to get. Now this old glue should be pretty easily removable with a small file like this one. That should just about be good enough. Okay, See exactly how that slots in. I think I'll just put a glob here and there, and then when I put it on, I'll give it a twist to kind of spread the glue around. See how that works. Just give that a minute to set up. There we go. One complete FX7 out of 3 beaters. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back next time.